Alright everybody, today we are going to be doing a test ride of the Husqvarna Vitpilen 801, and before we get started I want to give a quick shout out to Ellicott City Motorsports. Thank you so much, especially to Kale, for hooking me up with this test ride today and this beautiful color of this bike. I am so pumped. Let's go. Alright ladies and gentlemen, today as you can see I am atop the KTM, we are on top of the Husqvarna Vitpilen 801. You may be aware that it is the sister bike to the KTM Duke 790. I wanted to give this bike a ride today because this kind of segment is pretty jam-packed with competition. For all intents and purposes, this is just a naked, maybe cafe racer retro future style bike. I wouldn't say that segment is particularly jam-packed. It's kind of a party of one or two there. But as far as naked bikes go, with between 70 to 100 horsepower, ranging between $8,000 to $10,000, $8,000 to $11,000 in that price range, it's a pretty jam-packed field, folks. So why would you pick this bike out of the field to go with? And I think there's a few reasons. One, it looks good. I'll show you some B-roll here. Check out that B-roll. I mean, it's a pretty bike, right? You can see that. I can see that. Everybody can see that. If you don't want the super angular, angry looks of the KTM, you're going for this. Now, what that means is it is going to cost you a little bit of a pretty penny there, about $2,000. And that's not nothing. But I think they're kind of betting on you really liking how it looks, because it does look really good. That being said, let's talk about some of the core parts of the bike here. I am about 5'11" with a 30-inch inseam. That's right, a fairly, you can say it, a fairly small inseam for a man of my height. I'm all torso, as I like to say. I feel relatively comfortable on this bike. Compared to its sister bike, the Svartpilen, the slightly more scrambler style of this bike. This has a slightly thinner butt pad, but I don't think you'd be able to tell if you rode both bikes, to be completely honest. It feels pretty darn comfortable. You are leaning a little bit further forward because the hand grips are a little bit lower down compared to the Svartpilen. But yeah, the ergonomics overall, relatively comfortable. I'm definitely hunched forward more than I am on other naked bikes. That kind of goes along with the styling of this bike, right? It's supposed to be kind of a retro future cafe racer, whereas the Svartpilen is the is the scrambler aesthetic, right? So if you want a more upright position, you probably got to go for the Svartpilen. And it has some nice racier street-going tires. I'm gonna put the name of them here. A lot of bikes have these tires on them. I can't remember the names off the top of my head. I do apologize. But they're a good tire. This is a really nice tire to put on a bike, especially out the gate. A lot of people like fitting these to their naked bikes, to their sport bikes on the road. A lot of people fit this tire to them. But I will say, this is a brand new bike. There's 1 mile on the odometer, so I'm gonna go a little bit easy on it today as far as these tires go. Now, the reason I chose to demo this bike today instead of the Svartpilen was because after this year, the 2025 year, or I guess this year's version of these bikes, they brought the Svartpilen closer to how this bike is laid out. They have essentially the same suspension, except it's tuned a little differently. There's a slightly thicker seat, the handlebars are higher. Those are kind of the core things, but for the most part, these are pretty darn similar bikes. And to be completely honest, I think if you're looking at the two, even if you, let's say you really just want the upright riding position, I would even encourage you to just get the Svartpilen 801 and maybe put road-going tires on it, because it's not really going to do you much good as far as a scrambler or off-roading. I wouldn't, a lot of other reviewers have talked about it, but it just doesn't really have the chops to do much. So, you know what, put the tires that are on this bike on that one, and, you know, have yourself time. It's got nice big circular mirrors here. I can see, I'd be honest, I'd be lying if I was to say I didn't want the mirrors a little bit further out, just another inch or so. I have an inkling that a lot of bikes, their mirrors are, you know, they stop right about here at the end of the handlebars, because that's where, you know, if you drop your bike, they don't want them to break off, is my inkling. But it always leaves me wanting for slightly longer arms on the handlebar mirrors, just or on these mirrors, because I just, you know, I want to see a little bit better. So maybe some bar end mirrors. That would probably be one of the first things I would do on this bike, is throw some bar end mirrors on it. I think it kind of fits the aesthetic. I think you can actually get it. I think you can get it from the factory with bar end mirrors. And I would do that, to be honest. Really quickly, let's talk about the stats of this bike. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna have it coming up. What do you think of these stats, folks? Ah, very nice stats. Okay. Now that you've looked at the specs of this bike, it's a parallel twin, right? It's making, I believe, about 80 or 90 horsepower. And so far, I haven't really pushed the bike. It feels spunky. It feels good. This road has a little bit more gravel on it that I'd like to really kind of wring the bike's neck out, but maybe on the way back when I'm coming uphill, I'll feel a little bit more free on it. I will say second gear on this bike is not as torquey as you may like. I kind of wish we had a little bit more oomph, but third gear, that one feels good. I'm curious if, you know, because of regulations and such, if this suffers the same problem as my Yamaha Tracer and all of the other Yamaha triples. The second gear in all of them is pretty neutered because of environmental regulations. You know, we'll see. I mean, it's fine. I'm not like blown away. Again, I was just on a Multistrada V2 the other week, and that bike, the torque in second gear nearly throws you off of it. It's insane. This is a healthy amount of power. I don't feel like I'm getting yeeted into the sun by it by any means, but this is more than enough power for, I feel like, what this bike is. It'll get you where you need to go. Let's talk about some other basic riding characteristics of this bike so far. The clutch feels fine. I will say that the shifting lever is light as a feather. I've never felt a shift lever so kind of light. It's really light. I mean, I could just, yeah, very quick to shift up and down, super easy. The brakes, there is a dual brake to the front and a single in the back. I will say, I mean, they work. They just, you know what's the issue is my Tracer 9 and the Multistrada I rode the other day, those brakes could throw you into the sun when you hit them. And these are totally adequate. The back brake, you know, it's a rear brake. What am I going to say? It's fine. The rear brake is fine. This throttle is quite nice. It, I don't know if this is I think it's a ride-by-wire throttle. But there's no, like, hang up or delay as far as, like, there's no slack in it. So as soon as I get on it, there's no slack in this. And I'm only in second gear, but there is really also no hitchiness to getting on and off the throttle either. So when you're going up and down the gears, you're not really getting any messiness. Let's try and enjoy this twisty road a little, feel how the suspension feels. I'd say the suspension so far is, like, as far as feedback goes, I feel like I'm getting pretty good feedback. It's not overly communicative or bumpy, should I say. Like, it's still comfortable, and it's like it's telling me where I do and don't have grip. I feel the road surface. It's not floaty, so I'd say it's about as sprung and dampened as I would like it. I'm about 200 and plus pounds, so take that into consideration when you hear that. If you're lighter, you might feel a little bit more. All right, let's hit this curvy road a little bit more intensely this time. I was just kind of feeling out the bike, seeing what I felt. Ooh, you get a nice little Little burble from the exhaust there I just heard. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but sounded good. Sounded good. Alright, you know what? In sport mode, second gear definitely has more oomph to it. Woo! Yeah, you got enough torque to get where you need to go on this thing, huh? It's enough power. It feels nice, man. It's a good amount of power. On turn-in, you can feel the bike. You can feel the feedback from the rear tire where it is. This is nice. It feels very connected. It's a very connected, tight feeling bike. I like it. I am a fan. I think you could swap out the exhaust. A lot of other reviewers talked about that, and I kind of concur. I think you could swap out the exhaust on this thing. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's not the best. You could have a lot of fun on this. I feel like if you want a K9, you know, if you want a 790 Duke, but you want something that looks good, I feel like that's who this bike is for. I believe this bike has 19-inch wheels, and I feel like they did that just so that the wheels were the same, or dimensionally the same between this and I think it's on 19s. I guess I'll have to check. Is this bike on 19-inch wheels, Editor Matt? Who knows? But I feel like they did that. If it is true, I'm assuming they did that to keep it the same between the Vitpilen and the svartpilen. Let's see how it does on a highway, kind of type-ish road. We don't have a real highway on this route, but I picked it because I feel like this is not much of a highway bike. It's more of a twisty road, brown towner, and so that's why I came over here. That was the reason I chose this route. Oh wait, here, let's get up to highway speeds here. Let's slow down a little bit, gives ourselves a little breathing room. All right, let's see highway speeds. Yeah, I mean, it's a naked bike, so it's windy. 60, 70. Yeah, I mean, there's no wind protection here. There's a very small windscreen on the svartpilen, but not on this guy. So, you know what you're dealing with there. No surprises, right? We're not shocked by that. I mean, it feels comfortable going that speed, but I don't really think you're taking this to crush miles. Not to say, here's the thing, I don't think you can't not crush miles. Like, as far as if you're a little bit younger and you don't mind being hunched over, and honestly, this seat is totally fine. This is a totally good stock seat. I have no issues with it. It is firm yet comfortable, totally acceptable. Oh wait, we got a nice straightaway here. Yeah, I mean, it's a naked bike. You know, it's a naked bike, so it's windy, it's good, it works, it'll get the job done. Is it something you want to take long distance touring on highways? No, but that's not this bike, so, you know, what are we saying? And it has the power to do it. That's not the problem. It's, you know, the wind. I'd say, like, the instrumentation. Let's talk about the instrumentation. Like, how do I like the instrumentation and the controls on this bike? Simple, easy to use. I like it. It is too hard to change modes. You have to go into a menu and then another menu and then select the mode. That's annoying. Usually, though, when you have a mode to your liking, you just kind of stick with it. All right, folks. Let us really quick take a look at the TFT dash here. I think this is probably about, if I had to guess, is about 3.5, maybe a 4-inch screen TFT here. Let me actually open up my visor because I'm gonna. To get into the menus, hit right, temporary unlocked. All right. Oh yeah, this is I forgot, it's in demo mode, so that's why it's saying that. Okay, so you have your motorcycle, and once you go into your motorcycle, you can select your ride modes. You have street, sport, rain. There's a 4th rider mode, but you have to be out of demo mode to get to it, is what I was told by a nice gentleman, Kale, who's let me ride this today. We're going to stick it in street for the time being. Or no, sorry about that. We're going to stick it into sport mode because I haven't had it in sport. Maybe that will unlock some of the performance here. Sport mode. You can turn on and off ABS. Supermoto. MTC is your traction control. on and off. I like how it just shows the tire going left and right, like, yeah, this is what's happening if you turn off the traction control. Interface, there's a couple of different modes. Default is the one with the most information. No favorites, none of your favorited information. And then reduced, it's just attack, essentially. You're going to keep it in the default mode. You go into bike info, you get coolant, fuel range, battery, odometer, service, and trip info. 10.4 miles, that's a lie. It was maybe 5 miles to get here. Fuel consumption, 44.8 miles a gallon. And here on the TFT, have all your basics here. It tells you the mode that you're in, the ABS, the traction control, your revs, fuel, temperature, all that good stuff. Okay, that's really all there is to see. Around town characteristics, I mean, like I said, it's a pretty small, nimble little bike. I feel like you're not going to have a hard time around town. I will say, lower in the first gear, it's a little choppy, but that's not really that shocking. Let's do the 2-space U-turn test, as made famous by some other, motorcycle reviewers on YouTube. I don't know. I couldn't tell you their names. Just kidding. But let's give it a go. And we're good. Now, did I put a foot down? Yes. Will I tell you how many times I had to put it down? No. But you're in just under 2 spots. But yeah, around town, you're not going to have any issues on this bike. I mean, I will say ergonomically, the seat is pretty high up. So I can flat foot here if I'm standing over the thin part of the bike, but it's not that easy. Now, that being said, I'm kind of used to that because I ride a sport touring bike, which is a little higher up. So I don't mind that. But if you're used to a lower slung, maybe a cruiser, or standards with a lower seat height, the seat height here is about 33 inches, I think, 32 and a half. Not that low. So if you're a smaller rider, this bike might be too tall for you. I know some folks who, if you're a beginner, I don't know if I'd recommend this bike. I believe there's a 401 and for the Svart and the Vitpilen, and I think those have a lower seat height. Check me here, editor Matt. So if you really like this style bike and you want to get one that's more for a beginner, look there. This might be too much power for you, but then again, I was thinking if you are a mature rider, if you are somebody that, let's turn the bike on for a second. If you're a mature rider, I think this category of bike is a good beginner bike. And what I mean by mature is if you're over 30 years old and you're not gonna try and kill yourself on your motorcycle, I think this is totally acceptable as far as a beginner bike, because it's not so rowdy that you're gonna accidentally throw yourself off of it. There's enough electronic aids here to get you going. So if you're a mature rider and you want something that you can grow into, here you go. And if you're looking for this style of bike, I think this is not a bad first one to pick up. But yeah, around town, no complaints. I think we're sweet on that. All right, let's take it back to the dealership.
Alright everybody, so I'm just going to wrap up my thoughts here on the Husqvarna Vitpilen 801. First thing, let's talk about throttle response. Throttle response on this bike was great. It felt very sharp and responsive. Had no issues. Honestly, compared to some other more expensive bikes I've test ridden lately, I was really impressed. Very solid. Braking, like I said in the video, was good, acceptable, not amazing, super impressive. I don't know what brand of brakes they, put their own badging over, but it was acceptable, but not super impressive. Acceleration, I was honestly not blown away. I was kind of hoping that this parallel twin would be a little bit more torquey, but overall, you're not going to have a hard time having a little bit of fun in second and third gear, especially in sport mode. Definitely sticking in sport mode. The street mode felt a little bit too tampered down in that second gear for my liking. The suspension felt good. There was good feel from the front and rear of the tire. It wasn't undersprung or oversprung. Again, me, 200-pound man, felt very comfortable on it. It felt well put together, composed when going through tight corners, over hills and crests and stuff like that. Felt good. Agility, yeah, I think you can have a lot of fun. I feel like this is the twisty road category, and it's a good bike to take on a twisty road. Leans in and out of corners well, has decent acceleration, decent braking, so that kind of all culminates here in agility, and yeah, it's solid. Comfort, honestly, I was surprised, you know. A lot of naked bikes like this, the seat might leave a lot to be desired, but this is kind of a really nice, wide, flat seat, pretty comfortable. Overall, I mean, it's not as comfortable as some other naked bikes that you might have a more upright ride or triangle, as you are a little bit hunched over, so if that is something that's going to bother you, you know, be aware. But if you don't mind being a little bit hunched over, the leg and arm position are relatively comfortable, and like I said, the seat is nice. Livability, so there's no wind protection on this bike. Obviously it is a naked bike, you are a little bit hunched over, but I think as long as you're not trying to take it on really long touring full-on day rides, you're not going to have a problem on this bike. Or maybe if you're just a little bit younger, I don't think you're going to have any issues either. Fun factor, I mean, when it's good on a twisty road, for me, that speaks a lot to how fun the bike is to ride. So I think this is a very fun bike. It's very flickable, very maneuverable with 17-inch tires. So pretty fun bike to ride, and also it looks really good. So I don't know if looks should have something to do with how fun a bike is, but for me it kind of does add to it. Controls and tech, I think were really solid on this bike. The TFT is pretty clear. Some of the fonts, like I said, are a little bit small, but that's not too much to complain about. But overall, the controls and like how you navigate the menus is very nice. Again, I do like it when you could just kind of press a button once and it changes modes. So having to go into a menu and then another menu to change the rider modes is a little bit annoying to me, but it's not the end of the world. Value for money. So if you're getting this bike for MSRP, I think it is acceptable value for money. You know, it's got good power, it's comfortable, it's a looker. I think it's pretty solid. But as this is a 2025 and we are getting kind of deep into the 2025 model year, soon we're going to have 2026 bikes hitting the shelves. So the value for this bike right now, listed at Ellicott City Motorsports at about $8,500, is pretty good. I think it's quite a bargain to get this bike for that much. So if there's a dealership near you that still has this bike from the 2025 model year, and you've been thinking about getting it, I would definitely take a look. I think value for money at that price is very solid. But again, it's going to depend on how much it is near you. All right, back to Rider Matt to close this one out.
What can I say, folks? A fun little bike, huh? And here we are. Oh, right, before I forget, I gotta shout them out again. Ellicott City Motorsports. Thank you so much to Kale, if you are Kale. But yeah, shout out to Ellicott City Motorsports. Thank you guys so much for letting me give this a ride today. Thank you, thank you. Reach out to them if you wanna check out this bike.